How's it going, guys? Slickfist Wizard here to do my review, double review this time, for UFC on Fox and UFC 139 Shogun vs. Hendo. Let's just jump on into this. Okay, the general consensus for the UFC on Fox show was that it was neither a home run nor a strikeout. But my thoughts on it were just pretty much wow. You know. Uh, First of all, I liked the way the product looked. You know, the first time on network television, this is a big deal, a huge fight. So much was put into this, and for Junior Dos Santos to go out there and defeat Cain Velasquez in just 64 seconds after 40 minutes of build-up and hype, then I'm not so sure how good that looks. This is great for Junior Dos Santos to, to get the win. I didn't think he could get it, but he did. This is his first finish in the UFC since beating Gabriel Gonzaga, and he's now the new heavyweight champ. We've got a new champ now, but what I wanted to talk about was, before I get into what Dana White said after the fight was over, the main thing I wanted to discuss was, Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos were both injured going into this fight, even though it didn't quite look like it. Velasquez looked slower. He didn't look as methodical. The takedown attempt that he tried in the first couple seconds of the bout looked very half-hearted, very slow, telegraphed, and he was winging a lot of his punches out there that also looked very telegraphed. And it's hard to believe that the guy that looked like he had such a tough chin against Czech Congo was put away that quickly. But if you get hit behind the ear, that's probably the type of stuff that can happen. So this is a tough loss for Cain Velasquez, and arguably the biggest stage that the UFC has put on right now. His stock seriously took a hit. You could tell he was disappointed, but he said he's going to get the belt back, so I hope he does, actually. I really want to see these two guys fight again on pay-per-view, not on free TV. I don't think that's going to happen. But what's next for Junior Dos Santos? Well, obviously he's going to end up getting the winner of the Lesnar versus Overeem fight, unfortunately. And I only say that because, Brock Lesnar doesn't deserve a title shot, but of course his fight coming back to the UFC is a title shot, which, by the way, I still don't think he's going to fight. I think that they're just using his name to, make it so that the casual fan gets exposure to who Alistair Overeem is. So, after the fight, Dana White, surprisingly, after the bout was all said and done, Dana White was talking more about what about what Cain Velasquez didn't do, as opposed to what Junior Dos Santos did do, which was, knock out the number one heavyweight in the world in just 64 seconds. And I think he should have given a bit more praise to Junior Dos Santos. Instead, he was saying things like, "I'm no analyst, but why didn't Cain Velasquez shoot in the couple 60 seconds? Because Dos Santos gets tired, and that stuff isn't good." Also, Dana White told the hardcore fans that are complaining about this to shut up, because, and really, I'm not mad at the UFC, because this fight lasted so quick and was so, it just ended like that. But I was mad that the UFC didn't seize that opportunity, that the main event went so quickly to show the Clay Guida-Ben Henderson fight, which we'll talk about in a couple seconds. But, that would have been the perfect time to show the casual fans, okay, here's what the UFC is about, here's what mixed martial arts is about, and this is the fight you need to watch for the number one contendership fight. And they should have done that with all the time that they had, and they didn't do it. It was just one fight, and they should have put that on. So that was really the only thing. All in all, I was not upset about the product. I think I wish that the fight had lasted a little bit longer, even though I'm not upset about the fact that it didn't last that long. But anyways, that's how it goes. Congrats to JDS for getting it done. Mark Radulich is proud of that. And Ben Henderson, great job. This fight really lived up to the expectations, and it wasn't just, clinching for 15 minutes. Ben Henderson got the win, and people are now already picking him to dethrone Frankie Edgar because he's going to be taking on the UFC lightweight belt holder in Japan, probably, so that's an interesting fight. I think Frankie Edgar still has a decent chance of beating Ben Henderson by decision, but Ben Henderson is also very good at a lot of things that it will take to beat a guy like Edgar, so that's all I'm going to say about that for now. As for Clay Guida, I do feel bad for him, because this is, I think, his first four... Before this loss, it was his first four-fight winning streak in the UFC in a while, but, he's still a really good fighter who's above gatekeeper status, so, yeah. The rest of the card was just good. Dustin Poirier, he looked great against Pablo Garza, I picked that. Ricardo Lamas defeated Cub Swanson. DeMarcus Johnson beat Clay Harvison. Johnson still hasn't been to a unanimous decision. And as for Kid Yamamoto, second loss in a row right now. Kid Yamamoto is obviously not where he should be anymore. A while ago, he was just, doing his... He was killing it. He was taking out guys. He was a legend. So I say keep Yamamoto around for the Japanese card you guys are going to do. So that's what I think you guys got to do. And the rest of the card, not much to say about it except that Alex Caceres surprised me. I thought he was going to get destroyed, but he got the win. He looked okay, but I see any other bantamweight with great stand-up completely taking him apart. Now, alright, UFC 139, it had just happened last night. Shogun versus Hendo, wow. First of all, I know that I didn't get get around to making a predictions video for this, but let me just say this, I did predict Shogun to win, because I thought that he was going to have the better gas tank and the better variation when it came to attack and countering, and I thought he was just going to counter Dan Henderson for 25 minutes or so, because it's a 5-round non-title fight. That's what they're doing now. So, anyway. Yeah. Dan Henderson looked really great. He got the win, beat Shogun in a 5-round classic. There were 2 Fight of the Night awards that were given out. And this was really an amazing bout for both of these guys. The longer it went on, the worse I felt for... I did feel bad for Shogun as the fight went on. He was getting seriously mauled by Henderson, but I will say this, Shogun's got a great chin. I don't know what is in his chin that allows him to take that kind of punishment, but it's something, solid. So, as the fight went on, the first 3 rounds I gave to Dan Henderson, everyone else did too, and I gave the last 2 rounds to Shogun because he started to bring the fight back to where he needed it to be. He was getting takedowns on Henderson and landing punches, taking Henderson's back, trying for submissions, and he was just too exhausted. Both guys gave everything that they had in this bout, and it really, at the end of the day, you really can't ask for anything more or less than what they put on, so congrats to both of them. They earned their bonus. For Shogun right now, give him someone like maybe... Give him the loser of the Vladimir Matyushenko-Alexander Gustafsson fight, I think. That's a good fight to make. And next bout. As for Dan Henderson, I don't see him beating John Jones, honestly, unless he, knocks him out early on in the fight with that H-bomb he likes to use. So, there you go. I keep saying that a lot. Vanderlei Silva. You got it, man. Thank you. For getting the win. For this fight, honestly, I would have gotten a lot of these wrong, but I picked Kun Lee because I think that, he was a strong enough kickboxer back in the day, and he had finished all of his wins by knockout or TKO or injuring his opponents and stuff like that. But Vanderlei went out there, he was patient the first round, and he put on the attack in the second round and finished Kun Lee late in the second with, knees and punches. So Silva got his first finish since beating down Keith Jardine at, I think it was UFC 84. This is a great win for Vanderlei. If he had retired, if he had, gone out and said, I'm retiring, I'm done, then that would have been great. Silva is a legend, and he's really left his trademark he's left his mark in mixed martial arts, and people aren't going to forget him. But I'm glad he got the win. Kung Lee, he's still exciting, so the UFC is probably going to keep him around. So, next bout. I thought Brian Bowles would have been able to have edged out a close decision against Uriah Faber, but I gotta say, Uriah... Hold on. Gotta go.